Life on the leading edge is very crazy because when you get tuned in and tapped in, and when you really understand that your source of energy, so you spend more of your time focusing on that connection. So your first and foremost and only priority is to get connected. And as you get connected, you get more sensitive. As you meditate and quiet your mind and begin to receive thought, then you can tell the difference between a thought that you think with your mind usually from your effort, because you want to make up for misaligned energy, and a thought that you're receiving that came out of your blissful state that is about the next steps that you should be taking. Because source energy, your inner being, is really important. Your inner being is very important because your inner being's point of attraction, your inner being has already attracted everything that you want. So your inner being's point of attraction is really important. For that is the reason why you can relax. That's the reason why you don't have to do any work. All of your manifestations are already ready. They're being revealed. The thing is, if they're being revealed, you still need to realize them. And that's what the allowing mode is all about. That's what the receiving mode is all about. And as you get more sensitive to the receiving mode, you're going to notice really heavily when you're not in the receiving mode. And it's going to really bother you. For when a car is going 100 miles per hour, it's a really big problem when it hits a tree rather than a car that goes 5 miles per hour and it hits a tree. And that's exactly what happens. You see, up in those high flying places, when you hit a tree, it really hurts. When you stumble upon your resistance, it really hurts. And that's the thing. As you go out into your days, probably one of the most effective things that you can do to really care for your connection. For we just established, you have to care about your connection to source energy, because that connection is a pipeline to which all of your ideas about what to do next are coming. You could depend on effort. You could, but your mind can only think of so many things. You only have the answers to so many questions. You must depend on what the geniuses of your time and space have depended on, which is inspired action. And we're not against action. We're just saying that the action that you take from a place of being dissatisfied with where you are, that misaligned energy, instead of working on feeling better, you're working on, you take action from a place of being dissatisfied, and that action never nets you anything. And in fact, it usually makes a bigger mess that you have to clean up. So if you just clean your energy up first, and you could avoid all that mess. And that's what really getting out ahead of it really means. We want you to get out ahead of your day. We want you to find your connection first. We want you to understand that 17 seconds is all it takes for momentum to sort of get started. And 17 seconds and law of attraction will give you another thought. And after another 17 seconds, as you hit the 68 second mark, real momentum has been created. And that's exactly what a belief is. There's real momentum. So now we want you to sort of think of it like this. We want you to create a bubble around you so that when you're going out into your life, you're going to stumble upon subjects that, are sore spots. But the thing is, when you enter into the space, or when you enter into your segment, because life is not just one big thing, it's made of a bunch of little segments, this moment, the next moment. So as you're stumbling into, or you're entering into a segment, the thoughts that you thought before are still active. But the thing is, the thoughts that you thought before, as they are resistant, they don't bother you as much, because even when you feel a pinch of them, you do have another thought that you already practiced. So when you came into the room, that practice thought is also active, and your resistance is also active. And so if you're not used to getting out ahead of it, if you're not used to segment intending and making those intentions, because here's the thing, what your vibrational preparation is what your life is all about. That's exactly what we're talking about. We're saying, create your point of attraction. Focus on your point of attraction. And as you focus on and clarifying your point of attraction, then you can control what comes to you in this segment and this next segment. And that's exactly what segment intending is all about. It's about you taking the creative license more bit by bit. So life doesn't feel really grand and big. It feels like these little segments, which is what life is all about. That's where your power is. It's in the now moment. So that's what's interesting. And the best ways to get out ahead of your entire day is meditation, quieting your mind for 15 to 20 minutes and getting to that place of detachment. Whether you're staring at a flame or you're listening to a sound, we want you to get into the state of listening. Meditation is not a thinking time. It's a time for listening. And as you listen, you're listening for the whole of you to basically feed you thoughts. For when you quiet your mind, you're not focusing on trying to get rid of resistance. And in fact, getting rid of resistance is beginner level. Mastery is understanding that there is a place where resistance doesn't exist, and that place can be achieved when you quiet your mind and experience that detachment. And it can also be found in daydreaming. You see, daydreaming is very leading edge, because when you're daydreaming, you have to understand first, in order for your daydream to be successful in the sense where you're getting what the real manifestation is. And what is the real manifestation? How you feel in this now moment. And so daydreaming, you have to sort of accept the premise that everything that you want already exists, and you don't have to do any effort to make it happen, because any effort that you make, or any effort that you do to make something happen, comes from a place of resistance. So as you introduce resistance into the equation, the reason why there's resistance is because you're introducing the absence. So the absence of what you want plays a really big desire, because you think, if it's not here right now, and we get it, if it's not here right now, it's logical. What can I do to make it come? But the thing is, that's not really, the best way to speed up your manifestations. it's the best way to slow them down, actually. So instead of, introducing the absence into your equation, when you're daydreaming, you're going to a place where there's actually no resistance. So now when you're going out in your day and you're dealing with the resistance, instead of trying to calibrate, instead of trying to go up the emotional scale, instead of trying to go general and deal with fixing every single subject, because that gets very tiring. Bridging beliefs is a lot of work, and thing about bridging beliefs is that sometimes it's not the best, because you don't need to bridge beliefs when you really understand that your source energy is your connection to source energy is your job. And as you find your source connection, then your job is to master that source connection, meaning stay there longer and master and know exactly what puts you there, so you do that more of the time, like meditation, like daydreaming. Because when you're daydreaming, instead of dealing with resistance, you're going to a place where there's no resistance, because your daydreaming is non-resistant in nature. But the thing about non-resistance is that you're so used to action, you're so used to doing everything on your own, because that's what worthiness is. The more I do personally, the more I'm independent, the more independent, self-led that I am, the more that I get, the more value that I have. But the thing is, no one can give you an award that's bigger than or better than the feeling that you get when you're fully invested and connected to source energy. And that's exactly what we're actually talking about here, because your inner being's point of attraction really matters, because your inner being has already gathered up everything that you want. So you're not the only one. That's the thing, is the reason why we say you're your source energy before you came into this body, and you continue to be that exact same source energy, is because you're not the only one in this equation. And because the thing is, if you were the only one in this equation, then you would never feel negative emotion. And that really is so leading edge, because it really takes some decoding and some understanding and really slowing down and feeling, because when you feel negative emotion, that literally tells you that there's another point of view out there that you have a relationship with. Because if you could look at the absence of what you want and feel good and experience no sort of separation, then there would be no existence of another point of attraction. So the fact that you can feel negative emotion means that there's another point of attraction, and that's what we're saying. We're saying that point of attraction has everything that you want, so you don't have to do anything. You have to receive. Your job is to be the receiver. And how do you master the art of receiving? How do you get better at knowing what receiving mode you're in? Or just better, how do you get better at connecting? First of all, you have to accept the premise that you're always connected. Everyone is naturally connected, because you're all source energy. So then it goes without saying, the one thing that you have to do it in order to connect better with source energy is to know when you're not connected. And that's what we've been talking about. When you're not connected, that's not the time to talk about what you want. But when you feel your connection, when you feel satisfaction, meaning I'm good with what is, I'm satisfied with what I have right now, I'm satisfied with this version, the emotional vibrational version of my desire, and I'm good, and I'm excited for what comes next, but I'm good right here right now. As you start with that satisfaction, then as you start to think about your desires, it's really fun. You see, the old way of manifesting is, or the sort of the idea of manifestation that comes from effort, which is, I'm gonna apply these manifestations, because that's what you do. You would do hard work. You throw a lot of mud against the wall. Whatever sticks, and whatever works. But the thing is, you end up making a really big mess. So really, what the best approach is to not think that you have to do anything. And that's really screwy with humans, because the thing is, you don't have to do anything, but you're so used to it. It's like, you want me to just sit around? And we're like, yeah, we want you to just sit around, because that's what you want. The freedom that you're seeking is not the freedom from bondage. It's a freedom from resistance. It's a freedom from thinking that you have to do anything. It's the true freedom that you're looking for, that only comes from alignment. You want your alignment to deal with everything, and that's what we're saying. We're saying that alignment deals with everything. As you align, because your emotions are about your vibrational alignment. They're not about how much you have. They're not about what your physical reality is saying. Your emotions are about what you're doing with your energy. And as you understand that what you do with your energy, if we can get you to understand that reality doesn't have to change for you to feel better, and in feeling better and accepting what is and making peace with it and not pushing against it anymore, and going general and making yourself feel better by chilling out, by soothing yourself, by making yourself as happy as you can, by reaching for the better feeling thought, what you're really doing is not fixing or changing reality. Because the thing is, reality can't change right now given your patterns of belief, aka your resistance. But what can change is how you feel. And as you change how you feel, you're actually let's say it better. The improved emotion is the indication of a new vibrational set point, meaning when you feel better, you've actually shifted your vibration, because vibration is the only way that you can perceive a vibration is through your emotion. So that means that if you're feeling bad about money, and then you daydream, you make yourself feel better. The thing is, the shift in the vibration means that you shifted that subject. So now law of attraction is going to dish up something different to you. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about you shifting your point of attraction, because you don't need to do any action. Action is not in the equation. It's more of an afterthought. Action is how you enjoy what you created with your mind, but everything is what you created with your mind. Everything starts with your mind. It starts with your alignment, the alignment of energies, which means, how do you really feel about your desires? How do you feel about your desires? And we know the ones that haven't been coming, it's really logical why you don't feel very good about those desires, because they've been taking so long. And yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. It's like you know, as you understand your guidance system, then you can tell the difference between a thought that feels good and a thought that feels bad. And since you watch these videos and you understand law of attraction, and more importantly, you understand what your emotions are about and how your emotions really are your indication, your GPS system, and you can understand that this journey is quantifiable from where you are to where you want to be. It's very quantifiable, which means if this thought feels good, it means that I'm going in the direction of what I want. But if this thought that I think feels bad, then I'm not going to go in the direction that I want. I'm systematically, steadily making my way towards what I don't want. Versus if I felt better or if I felt good, then I'd be making my way towards what I do want. So the thing is, as you understand your GPS system and you feel empowered and you feel the truth of it and the validity of this other point of attraction, your inner being who's non-resistant, who knows everything, who's very sure, because your inner being doesn't doubt anything, because your inner being has a broader view. It can see everything from sort of bird's eye view. So your inner being has no resistance, it has no trepidation, it didn't let go of what you want. And that's really important, because if your inner being did, then you would have no guidance and you would have no vibrational version of what you want. The fact that your inner being exists means that everything that you want already exists and it's being held for you. So that's very important to understand. So it's like, you understand that if I feel good about this thought, if I can make this desire feel good to me, and the thoughts that I regularly have feel good to me, then that means I'm going to make my way towards my desire. I can feel momentum. I can feel that if I feel good about this desire, I'm going to make my way towards my desire, my manifestation. I'm going to make my way towards my manifestation. But the thing is, the manifestation can't matter. You're using your guidance system in the right way, because hey, I'm going to go to, I'm getting what I want, because the thoughts that I'm thinking regularly feel good, or in this moment feel good. So if the thoughts that I'm thinking right now feel good, that means I'm gonna get to my manifestation. But the thing is, that's what that brink feeling is. It's like, oh, it's right around the corner, which means, when is it coming? When is it gonna pop? The thing is, we don't want you to worry about the manifestation, because yes, your emotions are telling you that you're gonna experience your manifestation. But the thing is, if you're just waiting for your manifestation, it won't matter. You'll never experience it. You'll be on the brink forever, because you're eternal. So you're always gonna be on the brink of something. So it's like, you have to know that your manifestation is coming, but the fact that it's coming can't be the reason why you're waiting for it. The fact that it's coming can't be, or the manifestation itself doesn't matter. It can't matter. The manifestation can't matter. And that's what's so interesting, because if the manifestation matters, and if it's not here right now, and if you can't experience it right now, then you're like, well, I'm just ready for it. I'm on the brink of it. It's gonna happen. But we want you to understand right now that as you think about this, as you think about your desires, you only want to think about them because they give you pleasure. And if they don't give you pleasure, then you don't have to think about them. It's almost like move to the next subject. But the thing is, it's like, if it keeps popping up in your mind from your place of satisfaction, that means that it's urgent. And is it urgent because it's urgent, or is it urgent because it's ready to pop, because it's ready to manifest? And that's the thing. If you like thinking about your desire because of how it makes you feel, and you just like that vision of it and the dream of it, then that's your sign to continue to think about it. Because as you continue to think about it, you're going to parlay into faster and faster momentum. But we're just trying to get you out of the manifestation oriented sort of vibe, because being manifestation oriented, it always backfires against you, because you already know too much, because now you understand that you have a GPS system. So you understand that, okay, if I feel good about this is desire, if this thought feels good, then I'm gonna have what I want. The thing is, in having what you want, it's still a physical object that you don't have right now. So the fact that you don't have it, it's gonna play a really big role. That's interesting, right? So what are we really saying here? We're saying that the dream, the emotion has to be enough. It's like, yes, I know I'm gonna experience it, but I'm gonna just think about it because of how good it feels. And we want that so much for you. We want the dream right now, and thinking about it and all the various ways that you can play around with it in your mind. We want the daydream to be enough, because when the daydream is enough, then you're in a place of non-resistance, and the absence of your desire is completely out of the equation, because now there's no sort of taking score of reality, because now you're not doing something to get something. Now you're doing something because of the only prize, which is pleasure in this now moment. And as you do something for pleasure, as you think about your desires, as you daydream about them, as you talk about why you want it, as you're enjoying it, as you're playing it out in your mind, as you're visualizing it, as you're seeing it, as you're playing it out in your mind, and as you're spending it, as you're celebrating it, as you're accepting those awards on stage, you're having pleasure. And you having pleasure, you're not experiencing resistance. So you're steering clear of resistance. And in your steering clear of resistance, your desires go fast. It's like a slingshot. So what do we really want for all of you to take away from this video? We want you to understand that everything that you want is already done, and now your job is to get connected. And you getting connected, you can think about your desires, you can parlay them, because we're not just saying to sit around and do nothing. We're saying you want to be interested, but just know what receiving mode you're in, know exactly what your connection feels like, and know exactly what it feels like to not be connected, and then act accordingly. Because when you're not connected, that's not the time to do anything. But when you're connected, that's the time to go fast. That's the time to think about your desire, because every time you think about your desire from a place of connection, all the thoughts will just be pleasurable. And that's the name of the game. The name of the game isn't productivity. The name of the game isn't repetition. The name of the game is pleasure.